Well, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the invitation this evening. I'm delighted to be here on such an enjoyable occasion. Thank you very much for that welcome. And I find myself striking a rather prosaic note on the platform in the course of the proceedings. I follow an international quality cello performance, and I'm about to be followed by the Personality of the Year awards to which we've come. I would dearly wish to follow that. If I managed to pursue a serious career in life, I would have liked to be able to play the tenor saxophone in a jazz band. That was really my great desire in life. Alas, I lacked the talent, so I had to become a lawyer and a politician, but I come here and I should follow music of that quality more often, I'm sure, to set people in the right mood for the speeches that I give. I'm also conscious that I strike a prosaic note with my dress. I assure you this is not some Gordon Brown type social protest that I have come to make on this occasion. I arrived innocently and blissfully unaware that this is what the British call a black tie occasion, but I'm sure I have lots of sympathy in the room. There are many men here who attend a lot of these enjoyable occasions in the course of a year. At least once a year, I'm the only man in the room wearing a grey suit. And at least once a year, I'm the only man in the room wearing a black tie. And on this occasion, I just slightly missed. I am here, I suppose, representing Her Majesty's government, and there are very many of my cabinet colleagues who would have quite happily come along and taken my place to express our support for this Anglo-Brazilian occasion, and I'm happy to do so. And I'm particularly delighted that my present role in the cabinet does give me opportunities to get involved with Brazil again, get involved with trade and commerce in Brazil, which is the object of this chamber here in Britain. I've known Brazil over the years. I went there quite a bit when I was Chancellor of the Exchequer many years ago. I had business involvements in Brazil over the years, and I've done various things. To my astonishment, I find myself back in office, and in my much reshuffled career, I'm already on my second job in the present cabinet. For the first time, the job title I have, which you heard from the Master of Ceremonies, has an air of mystery about it. I am the minister without portfolio. In which case you might ask, well, what the devil is he doing sitting in the cabinet at all for? But the last holder of this mysterious title was Peter Mandelson when he came back in odd circumstances at one stage, the first time he came back in the last government. But in fact, I am a minister with a portfolio because I am charged with the Prime Minister, firstly with giving my colleagues the benefit of my wit and wisdom at cabinet meetings and at many cabinet committees, but also actually with carrying out very specific tasks which he asked me to concentrate on. And I'm delighted to say that he did not have the slightest difficulty in asking me to give one aspect of a ministerial lead to one aspect of our relationships with Brazil. The Prime Minister, David Cameron, made a visit to Brazil. He's already made a visit in the course of this Parliament. And I can assure you, I know from my personal contact with him, he came back hugely impressed by the opportunities that he saw. We have determined as a government to really work at improving our relationships with Latin America in particular and Brazil in particular, because Brazil is the South American giant. But the Prime Minister came back quite overwhelmed by the potential he saw in building up Anglo-Brazilian relationships. Firstly, in today's world where we have a globalized economy, we're all very interdependent. As a political friend, it's absolutely essential we get alongside a global giant like Brazil, and there's no reason why we shouldn't have. We normally do have excellent relationships with Brazil. There are no conflicts of interest between our two countries at all, and Brazil in modern times has been a highly successful democracy, but also the opportunities there are to deepen trade and investment in both directions. This is become one of the most successful of the emerging markets, and frankly the British have rather neglected the opportunities there, and we wish to encourage the Brazilians to take more advantage of opportunities in our country. So, snagged with being Prime Minister, as much though he'd no doubt like to go quite regularly to Brazil, there are limits in his ability to do so. He was extremely anxious that the whole thing didn't just go a bit flat once he'd been there. We have a Trade Minister, Lord Green, who's actively working in Brazil. We have actually a flow of ministers going there. These ambassadors are being overworked in looking after ministers going in both directions. I'm glad they've noticed the upload in their workload since the new government came to power. But he asked me particularly to concentrate on actually Brazil, and for quite different reasons, I assure you, India and China, and particular sectors of the economy in giving a lead, which I am delighted to do. I am therefore flying off to Sao Paulo again on Saturday. I'm there next week, and I've already been to Brazil already this year. In between, there have been other ministerial visits, and I'm quite sure that is going to be the pattern that we're going to maintain. Those of you who think I am fleeing a particularly mad passage in domestic British politics can therefore be reassured that I'm most reluctant to tear myself away from this debate on Europe, which I'm so unaccustomed to in this country, and get myself into a part of the world where I think the future lies as well. I do think, actually, of course our future lies in improving our competitive position in a globalised economy. Frankly, the British have got, who used to, 100 years ago, to be very, very strong in Latin America, have got left behind in Latin America as we've got left behind in other parts of the world. We ought to be in the forefront of taking advantage of the opportunities in partnership with the giant economies like Brazil, now has a bigger economy than our own. China and India as well are particular opportunities for us. I don't agree with my old friend Nigel Lawson that this is some sort of curious alternative to remaining in the European market. I cannot for the life of me see how we would improve our prospects of raising our profile in Brazil by, for some peculiar reason, deciding to leave the largest single market in the world, which has 500 million people in it in developed countries and represents half our trade. But I will agree with my old friend Nigel Lawson that we're now in a globalised economy, so from our European base we have got to strengthen our Brazilian prospects. You will realise why I've chosen the sectors I've chosen in Brazil. I'm working alongside the trade ministers. I'm not a trade minister. Oil and gas, energy generally, and also the healthcare and life sciences field are the two I've particularly chosen to concentrate on. I'm going with many businessmen, many professional people, many people, investors, who are anxious to see how they can actually contribute to what's going on in Brazil in both those fields. The Brazilians have got the enormous prospects of further development, in particularly using their oil and gas reserves. Pre-salt oil is a breakthrough into a brave new world of subsea extraction of oil and gas. There are men in Aberdeen and across the United Kingdom, actually, who can contribute a great deal of experience and expertise in actually how to work in difficult conditions in subsea, and I've entertained Brazilian delegations here, been out with energy experts and with British companies to Brazil. Quite sure we're going to be working there. And actually tomorrow, as I think the ambassador said earlier on, there's a licensing round of which we're going to hear the outcome. British companies, at least 3 British companies, I know, have put in for that licensing round, are interested in that licensing round. So I'm looking forward, as I'm sure is our first personality of the year, from BG, to the outcome and the announcements come tomorrow, where I hope there's a really strong British contribution. Healthcare, life sciences, I think there we're extremely strong. The Brazilians have entered a whole new world for them, of now becoming one of the world's leading economic powers. They've acquired a prosperity they've not had enjoyed in the past, thanks to political turmoil, liberalisation plus to political stability. Dynamic government has actually got Brazil where it is. Like most of the newly prosperous countries in the world, to a certain extent, the public services to the whole population need to continue to be developed. The ordinary Brazilian needs to see continuing advances in what I know is already a good public health system in Brazil, but Brazilians at national and state level have ambitions to have better. The ever more numerous and more prosperous middle class of Brazil expect to have, as they have now, international quality medical care in their sophisticated private hospitals, if that's where they go. But again, there are great opportunities for investment. There's a big trade fair at Hospital R. I shall be going there where British companies will be displaying equipment. They'll be displaying their opportunities to provide services and management. We can design, build and operate anything you want. We can train as many staff as you want, and there are universities and business schools and others equally interested in the market. And they're going in for public-private sector partnership in developing their health care. Well, we practically invented it. About 20 years ago, I was in Brazil trying to persuade people of the benefits of PI5 before we'd really started it, and urging them to get British banks involved. We made a few mistakes, thanks to, in my opinion, my political opponents, so they can learn from our mistakes as well. But we are still in the forefront of public-private sector partnership, PFI, and I should be urging that. So I touched on these things. Everybody is in this room because they could supplement what I say with their respective experiences of what's happening in the Brazilian economy, what's happening in the links between our two economies, what the prospects are, how exciting they are in a newly emerging power as Brazil has become in today's world. And also, you know, we're going to see how you follow up what we did in the Olympics. We invented football for the benefit of the Brazilians, and they became a lot better at it than we have become. We think we showed you how to run the Olympic Games. Seb Coe seems to be in and out of Rio all the time now, with other people seeking to help. Might never know, the Brazilians might outdo us in what they do in Rio. We're all looking forward to the Olympic Games in Rio. All of it will build up consciousness in this country of Brazil, improve knowledge of Brazil. Certainly, I can assure you, the government of this country will be seeking to deepen ever further contacts between our two countries, and I'm very grateful for the fact that in the United Kingdom there is the Chamber of Commerce who organised this evening, who have been so active for so long with my old friend Peter Heap and others, actually building up what can be achieved if our two countries work together properly in the modern world. Thank you all very much.